Howdy everyone, this is Amnar here, and I'm bringing you another Proxy the Power original. This is one of the decks I've kind of been talking about for a little while in the SPDC chats. I decided that there are a lot of people out there who believe that Bloodbriar is best at home in some sort of green-black shell. And while green-black has been sacrificing things for value for a long time, I really believe that Bloodbriar is really best in a green-white shell. I mean, it gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you sacrifice any other permanent. So at the very least, that also combos with your evolving wilds to have a sort of nice instant speed buff spell. The reason why I ended up choosing white is because of the investigate mechanic. Using the Thraben Inspector, you now have a card, basically, an extra card that says pay 2 mana, draw a card, give Bloodbriar +1/+1. So not only can this thing help you by drawing a little extra gas when you might need it, but it's also something else to sacrifice to pump up your Bloodbriars. The other real big player coming out of Eldritch Moon, and one of the big ideas for the deck, was Choking Restraints. Now this is basically your pacifism, but you can pay 5 mana and sacrifice it to exile the enchanted creature. This is, again, something else to pump your Bloodbriar, but is incredibly useful whenever you combine with your Auramancers. That one will allow you to keep getting it back for value while you exile their creatures, preventing them from bringing them back from the graveyard. So naturally, if you're running Auramancers, you pretty much want to run an enchantment package. Most people choose Pacifisms and Vessels of Ephemera. So that way you have a creature removal that you can always get back with the Auramancer, or you can pump out a steady stream of 1/1s for chump blockers, or if your opponent doesn't have any flyers, you can get those last few points of damage in and kind of seal the deal on the game. Another player here in the mid to late game, and one of my new favorites, is a Ulvenwald Captive. This is a 1/2 for 2 mana. That's a defender and gives you a green to your mana pool. But for 7 mana, you can transform into a 4/6 mana dork that you probably rarely use for mana. Being a 4/6 body is pretty hard to deal with in standard Pauper. And so while you're sitting here trying to kind of dirtle around, play the defense, draw some cards, pacify any of their threats, until you can get a Bloodbriar out that's pretty huge, your opponent might be ignoring the captive the entire time. And then once all their removal spells are gone, you transform 1 or 2 of these and then just start hitting the face. The real combo piece, though, and the secret tech that while I may have been advertising this deck, I have tried to avidly not talk about this one card. This card is Lunarc Mantle. For 2 mana, you give a creature +2/+2. But you can pay 1 and sacrifice any permanent to give the creature flying until end of turn. So this is the main combo piece with the Bloodbriar. Say that you have a board stall, but your opponent has 0 creatures. You have a Lunarc Mantle on your Bloodbriar. If you have 8 lands, suddenly it's pay 8 mana, sacrifice 8 lands. Your Bloodbriar gets +8/+8 and flying. Now, I wasn't able to often do that with the Bloodbriar because as soon as he comes down, he is quite a big target for removal. So in the case that they were ever able to remove him, I also ran 2 Ironclad Slayers. They can help us get back a True Faith Sensor if it's ever destroyed, or it can also get back any of our Choking Restraints. It being a 3/2 also helps pack some punch, especially whenever you equip it with the True Faith Sensor. Since this deck doesn't really want to play super aggressive, I only included in 1 of the True Faith Sensors, a sort of way to push through the mid and the late game. You only have a light green splash here, primarily just for the Bloodbriar, but the Ulvenwald Captives were too good to pass up. Moving on here to the sideboard, We've got 3 Caustic Caterpillars for our enchantment and artifact removal. We've got 3 of the Netcaster Spiders. Those are for anyone running up the flyers in case Green-Black or Sultai Grind is still popular. Got a 2 of Pulsa Marasa to help stabilize, gain a little bit of life, and if your opponent happens to be on like green-white also, or maybe even blue-green, something that doesn't have a lot of exiling removal spells. As far as white, we have the extra Lunarc Mantle. If you feel confident in comboing out and want to combo out early, you side the extra one in. Extra Vessels to buy time and provide chump blockers, or to really press an air advantage. Extra Purge and Choking Restraints to exile troublesome creatures. And extra Ironclad Slayers if they end up destroying more. It's pretty much the deck. We're running 22 lands, although that's probably, after playing with it wild, probably going to go up to 23. I really like sitting around there. For some reason I think I'm cursed on Modo. Anytime I put 22 lands into a deck, I'm horribly mana screwed. 21 is okay and 23 is fine, but 22 is a cursed number. Either way, despite the 22 land curse, we did pretty well, so I have several videos coming up for you. Please stay tuned and don't forget to like and subscribe.